Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Nitin Dikshit and today we are going to talk about the traditional programming and the concepts of machine learning. क्या आपने कभी भी ऐसा सोचा है कि जीमेल को अगर पता कैसे चलता है कि आपके अकाउंट में जो भी मेल्स आ रहे हैं वो स्पैम हैं या फिर नहीं है? सिमिलरली नेटफ्लिक्स को कैसे पता चलता है कि आप आगे क्या देखना चाहते हैं, नेक्स्ट क्या देखना चाहते हैं, कौन सी वेब सीरीज़ या कौन सी मूवीज़ आप देखना चाहते हैं? So the answer to these questions actually lies in the different approaches that we follow to solve these problems using the computer. Actually, basically there are mainly two ways, and the first one is traditional programming, and the second one is using machine learning approach. Okay, so by the end of this video you will be able to understand exactly how these two are different. So let's just get started. So we will begin with what is traditional learning. Okay, so in traditional learning what happens is the programmer writes explicit rules. Okay, and these rules are written for every task that computers, and these rules are followed by the computers. ये ऐसा है ना कि आप जो कंप्यूटर्स को हैं वो कुछ इंस्ट्रक्शंस पास कर रहे हैं विच इट हैज़ टू फॉलो ब्लाइंडली. ओके, एंड द कंप्यूटर वॉन्ट इवन थिंक अबाउट इट, देयर इज नो थिंकिंग इन्वॉल्व. It's like if this happens then do that. Okay, so let's understand how it actually works. Okay, first of all we are going to do we are going to feed input data in the raw format, and along with the some rules which are actually written by the programmers. Okay, and based on if this happens, do that, the computer produces the output. So we can say that the input data along with the rules result in the output. Okay, so let's understand with an example. So here is an example, we want to identify if the email is a spam or not. So we already aware that the programmer will write some rules for this. So let's see what those rules are actually. And here a programmer has written some rules, and that is if an email contains win money, then you can mark it as a spam. And the second one is if the email contains more than 10 links, then you can mark it as a spam. So the third one is that if the email comes from an unknown sender, then you can mark it as a spam. So whenever we give the input to the computer, it will search if the input actually matches with any of the rules or not. And if it does, it produces the output as spam. And if it doesn't, it produces the output as not spam. Okay, now let's see what are the problems with the traditional programming. The first one is actually the spammer constantly changes their tactics. So what is meant by ना कि जो spammer होता है, suppose वो आपको spam भेज रहा है, spam email send कर रहा है, लेकिन after that he realizes कि आप उसे filter कर ले रहे हो कि वो spam है. So what he can do is he can change his behavior, he can change his tactics. Instead of writing win money, now he will be writing what? Withdrawal money. Okay, instead of sending you 10 links, he will send you 2 to 3 links. Okay, so these are the things that that a spammer can do. Okay, and the second problem is you can not write all the rules there. I just okay, even if you write 100 or 1000 of rules, you are still going to miss some of them. Okay, and whatever the rules that you have missed out, these are the vulnerabilities in the computer program. Okay. And the third problem with the traditional programming is that the program cannot improve unless a programmer updates it. So let's understand this. If spammer changes its tactics or its writing behavior, okay, the computer won't detect it as a spam not until the programmer updates it. And this is the biggest flaw, as you cannot update the rule every time. So this is the key takeaway. Okay, the traditional programming is limited by human written rules and struggles with complex and changing real world problems. Okay, so we need an approach that can learn the changes and adopt accordingly, which leads to our second approach, and that is machine learning. So in machine learning, instead of telling the computers every rules, will let it learn the rules by itself using the real world example. So instead of writing the rules manually, we will provide it some examples, and from those examples it extracts some rules. Okay, Now let's understand this with an example. Suppose एक छोटे से बच्चे को ना डॉग को पहचानने को सिखाना है, ठीक है। तो क्या ये करना सही होगा कि हम उसे कुछ रूल्स बताएं, जैसे कि अगर किसी जानवर के 4 पैर हैं, उसके फर हैं, या इफ इट बार्क्स, ओके, देन दिस एनिमल इज अ डॉग. Is it okay to teach that boy, teach that little kid all these rules? Okay, इंस्टेड हम क्या करते हैं कि बच्चे को डिफरेंट डिफरेंट डॉग्स को शो करेंगे, एंड ईच टाइम हम लोग क्या करेंगे, जब भी उस बच्चे को डॉग को दिखाएंगे तो हम लोग बताएंगे कि ये डॉग है, ठीक है। इवेंचुअली क्या होगा, हिज ब्रेन विल फिगर आउट द पैटर्न ऑन इट्स ओन। ओके, नाउ अगर भविष्य में ऐसा होता है कि वो कोई भी ऐसे ब्रीड का कोई भी डॉग देखता है, देन ही विल एग्जैक्टली आइडेंटिफाई इट दैट इट्स अ डॉग, बिकॉज वाई बिकॉज उसके ब्रेन में ये ऑलरेडी डेवलप हो चुका है, कि पैटर्न्स डेवलप हो चुके हैं कि डॉग्स के पैटर्न्स क्या होते हैं. This is exactly what machine learning does. Okay, let's see how it works. Okay, we have input data, that is past email or history, whatever it is, and their corresponding outputs, whatever the input and whether it was spam or not. Okay, now these two data are fed to the algorithm, okay, machine learning algorithm, whatever, there are so many algorithms, okay, you can choose any of them, any of it. Okay, now what happens, the model learns the pattern. Okay, the model learn the patterns that is available in the input data to the output data. Okay, it tries to find whatever the patterns that exist in between the input data and the output data. Okay, now once the model is trained, okay, once the model is actually trained, the model has learned the patterns. Okay, so you start making the prediction. Therefore we will feed the new input data, that is the new email, and based on the patterns found using the past data, it predicts the outcomes, that is spam or not. Okay, let's understand this with an example, that is spam email detection. Okay, so here we have training data, that is of 50,000 emails labeled as spam and not spam. So the machine learning algorithm tries to analyze the words that are being used, the sender information, the number of links, attachments, email structures और यूज़र बिहेवियर्स. ओके, तो करता क्या ना मशीन लर्निंग, जो भी हमारे ऐसे स्पैम ईमेल हैं उनमें इन तरह के जो पैटर्न्स हैं इनको एनालाइज करने की कोशिश करता है, ठीक है. एंड द आफ्टर ट्रेनिंग इट हैज़ ऑलरेडी लर्न द पैटर्न्स. ओके, सो नाउ इट कैन डिस्टिंग्विश द स्पैम ईमेल एंड द नॉन स्पैम emails. So whenever a new email arrives, it predicts whether it is a spam or not. Okay, and here's the key takeaway, that machine learning learns from the data and it adapts to the changes and improves over time without needing explicit rules. Okay, so thank you for watching the video. I hope you have enjoyed it, and we will see you in the next lectures.